In lesson 7 we're going to look at turns in more detail and some basic aerobatic maneuvers such as the Immelmann and inverted flight. Up to this point I have not mentioned the use of the rudder in a turn. We have used the ailerons to roll us into an angle of bank, and we have used the elevators to control the pitch to control the speed in the turn. So why do we need to use the rudder? Well, there are a lot of aerodynamic forces at play as we go into a turn. Anytime we are flying, we want to reduce drag as much as possible, otherwise we lose speed. To keep it simple, let's just say that anytime an aircraft is in a turn, we will apply some rudder in the direction of the turn. In this clip you can just see the rudder moving. Going into right-hand turn, it's a slight right rudder. And we maintain that input right the way through the turn and take it off when we level off. Let's take a look at skidding and slipping. Think of a skidding turn as us allowing the back end of the airplane to slew around the corner out of control like this car. Applying the proper left rudder input in this left turn will solve that problem. And that will help us follow the blue line, which is the arc of the turn, for the duration. A slipping turn occurs when the tail is slipping or falling down inside the turn. And in both cases, it's because of a poor entry into the turn itself. The rudder is a very powerful control. Watch what happens here when I apply full right rudder and full left rudder in the turn. You can see the nose pop up on the horizon and then drop down. And then it comes under control as I centralize the rudder. And then apply the correct amount of rudder for the turn. And the cockpit view, full right rudder, full left rudder, and normal rudder input. So do you need more rudder in a steeper turn than a shallow one? Absolutely. But then you say, well, how much do we need? I can tell you that very simply. I don't know. Because in 1917 they didn't have an effective instrument which would tell them whether they were slipping or skidding. The takeaway from this is that you know that you need to apply some rudder input going into the turn and maintaining it throughout the turn until you come back to level. In a roll, for example, you'll be constantly making minor adjustments to your rudder input. Alright, let's take a look at the Immelmann or top roll maneuver. In lesson 6 we looked at a maneuver called the split S. So this entailed rolling over onto your back and then diving down smoothly through a loop back in the same direction that you came from. Now an Immelmann is exactly the same except completely opposite. Instead of rolling over and diving down, you're going to climb up and at the top of the loop then you're going to roll over and go back in the same direction. Of course, your goal is to try to be at a higher altitude than you started out at. But you're limited by the performance of your aircraft. Performance and design restrictions also come into play when you're trying to do inverted flight. And by inverted flight I mean sustained inverted flight. Notice the attitude of the nose above the horizon to keep it in level flight. These twin-engined F-16 jets have virtually unlimited performance. It allows them to sustain almost any aerobatic maneuver. But if you're flying an SE-5 or a Fowls D3, you were born 100 years too early. We've covered a lot of stuff here. So in lesson 8, we're going to look at side slips and crosswind landings. A real challenge. If you've enjoyed this video and get some value out of it, please leave a comment and subscribe and like and all those usual things. But if you want to see more of these videos, specifically with the IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad, I've got about 150 training videos for you to look at. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.